I've been noticing lately that I'm a little out of practice as a performer. We just started getting back into in-person worship services on a regular basis. It's been a little bit impromptu in the past, and I am just out of practice with getting in front of people and having to perform. So I've been dealing with a little bit more anxiety and a little more nerves than I used to. And that's just because I'm out of practice, but I'm having to find tactics to calm my nerves and bring myself back to a healthy place to perform. So that's what I want to talk about in this video, is some of my tips on how to reduce your performance anxiety as a church musician. Welcome back to the Church Musician's Assistant YouTube channel. I'm Hannah Cruz. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that so that you will be notified when we put out new videos. And to access those new videos, all you have to do is click on subscriptions on the left side of your YouTube screen, and then you can scroll down and see all of the new stuff that's come out from your subscribers. Now, why do we get nervous in the first place? Well, the biggest reason, or for me at least, is that I care what other people think. And we all care what other people think. Some care to a lesser degree than others, but we all care somewhat what people around us think about what we're doing, what we're saying, what we're playing, and we can't help that. In fact, I think it's healthy for us to care a little bit, and it's impossible for us to stop caring entirely. If we didn't care at all about what we were offering to the congregation or to our audience as a musician, who would want to listen to our music? Because if we have no heart in the game, the music is going to sound heartless. So we've got to care. That's what makes this work so important to us, is that we do care so much about how our music impacts others, how it brings positivity to their day, how it touches them with the Holy Spirit on days when they're low. These things matter and they're important to us. So we should care. So don't try to stop caring. That's not the way forward here. What's another reason why we might be nervous? Well, fearful of uncertainty. That goes for some of us more than others. I think some individuals, like maybe a jazz musician, might thrive off of a little bit of uncertainty, whereas there are other people who really love to have their plan and to know exactly what notes to play and what rhythms and dynamics, and that makes them feel comfortable. And so there are both kinds of people, but we all get a little fearful not knowing what is to come, right? So I think a way to mitigate that is planning and having backup plans, but we'll get into that in a sec. Now, also, lacking trust in our own abilities is a big problem when we have low confidence in ourselves. And this is not something that you can just fix with a quick tip. That's something rooted probably a little bit deeper in your past, and the habits that you're in, the things that you tell yourself about yourself on a daily basis. Maybe you judge yourself too harshly on a lot of things, and you've gotten in a pattern of doing that. I certainly do that to myself. I struggle with this. I judge myself harder than probably anyone else, and that is often why I'm so nervous, is because I am critiquing my every little move. Stick around, because I am going to get into some practical tips for reducing your nerves when you're in front of an audience and you're nervous. So stick around. But I do want to dwell on this point for just a second. The fact that we don't love ourselves fully. We all do this, and I feel like it's probably the root problem when it comes to us trying to achieve something that we're really passionate about, and we want to progress, we want to get better, but we encounter some sort of blockage, a barricade, and we can't get over it, we can't tunnel under it, and we can't seem to name it either. You know, why can't I get past this point to, you know, the high level that I want to be at? Well, it's probably desolation inside yourself. We create this loveless environment for ourselves to live inside, and it's not healthy for us. It's not helping us get anywhere. That we feel like it's necessary to judge ourselves, critique ourselves, and sometimes it is, but mostly we need to be kinder. we need to be gracious with ourselves and appreciative of ourselves and like proud of ourselves. All of those things will push us further than the critiquing. So what would you do if you're sitting in front of an audience and these things bubble up, these criticisms, this self-hate? Well, start with baby steps. Soothe yourself and tell yourself the opposite of what you're inclined to tell yourself. Instead of saying, ugh, why didn't you practice enough or whatever, give yourself a compliment. Just soothe yourself and tell yourself you are enough. I accept you. I accept myself. And I am happy with where I'm at right now. This is going to be good. Okay, so now I want to transition to some practical ways that we can reduce our nerves, our anxiety when we're performing, when we're already up on stage or wherever. And the first couple are really obvious, so I won't dwell on them. But number one, pray. Pray to God to intervene on your behalf and to send His Holy Spirit through your music making. That's obviously important. And prayer can also connect you to your breath and reduce your blood pressure, and so it has physical effects as well as mental effects. Also practice, but I'm not going to dwell on that because I think that's too obvious. We need to be ready for what we're going to perform as best as possible. I also recommend, even if you are going to improvise, to make a plan for your performance, your service, whatever it is that you are playing for. Make a plan, a fairly detailed one. Write it down even if you have to. You know, we're gonna play the prelude and then move your music to the left and get the first hymn out, and don't forget to set it on level 2 so that your registrations don't get mixed up. And then after that, don't forget to cancel so you don't accidentally step on a pedal. That kind of detail is required as a church musician to make sure the worship service flows smoothly on a regular basis, right? So if we consciously make that plan, and then we even make backup plans to the plan, like, okay, if the organ ciphers, and you know, okay, this note is prone to ciphering, then I'm going to switch to this registration, or I have this piece that I can play on the great manual and I can avoid the swell manual, or whatever. So does that make sense? Just planning and then planning again can reduce anxiety from the get-go, because you reduce that uncertainty. First, a relaxation exercise. In yoga, they tell you to, at the end of your yoga session, to lay on your back and do a full body scan. You start with your eyes and you let them gently close, and you feel the tension between your eyebrows melt away, and just, it kind of like drains off the side of your face almost. And then you scan down your face to your jaw, then your shoulders and your fingertips. your hips and then your knees and your feet all the way to your toes until you feel completely jelly-like all over. And what this does is it focuses your attention on relaxation of the muscles. It connects you to your breath, and it's getting your mind off of the things you have to do coming up. It's simplifying your gaze. And the upcoming tactics I'm about to give, almost all of them do that as well. They take your mind off of the nervous issues, and it focuses your mind on one easy task that you can accomplish in the moment and doesn't overwhelm you. So the whole point is taking the overwhelm, throwing that aside, simplifying and relaxing. So next, I like to establish a powerful posture, rolling my shoulders back and making sure my hips are appropriately spaced and that I feel strong and powerful in my stance. And even wearing an outfit that makes you feel powerful can help in that regard as well. That's gonna give you confidence. Now, I suggest breathing as well. Breathe before you enter the piece and enter. And also consciously breathe with the phrasing of the music. The next tip follows from that. Sing the music in your head and breathe along with that imaginary singing as you play. What it does is it, of course, enhances your musicality, but again, it focuses your mind on something achievable, something simple. Hum the melody. That's it. That's all you have to do. And it takes your focus away from all the distractions that are making you nervous. I also like to intentionally move with the music. So nothing too theatrical and nothing too stilted, obviously, but you know, sway with the music as you breathe, as you sing with it. You have to. And I know we all have a tendency to move a little bit naturally, unconsciously, but what I'm suggesting is intentional movement. Again, it's something you can focus your attention on and draw your attention away from overwhelming thoughts. This last tip is my personal favorite one because it works for me almost every time, and it's so easy. All it is drop the weight of your arms into the keys and keep reminding yourself to do that. Whenever you tense up, whenever you start to get nervous, tell yourself, release, release. And I know it doesn't sound like anything at all, but for some reason that one little thing calms me so much. A lot of our tension, it builds up in our neck and our shoulders and our upper back. It does for me. So when I tell myself to release, it's releasing all of that weight that's being held real high in my body and sort of transferring it to the keyboard itself. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm letting my wrists collapse. In fact, I'm still retaining that nice structure of, straight wrist, firm fingers. And it doesn't mean that I'm banging into the keys either. If I'm playing piano, it doesn't mean all of a sudden my touch is heavy and I play loud. You can drop the weight of your arms and your hands into the keys in a way that actually gives you more control over what you're playing. So I hope some of these suggestions have helped you feel a little more confident going forward as a performer. If being nervous was an issue for you or can periodically be an issue for you. And I hope that we all will tell ourselves today that we accept ourselves and that we're proud of what we do as musicians. And this Sunday when you perform or the next time you perform, I hope you'll tell yourself that again and make an effort to keep saying that over and over so that we establish this new routine of positive feedback and not constant criticisms on ourselves. Go forth and make beautiful music, guys. Until next time, blessings.